My beloved child, today, I ask of you just a small portion of your timino much. Only an hour not meant for the outside world, but one set apart for you and me, an hour where you need not worry, need not do anything at all, just simply be present to listen, to rest, to be comforted by me. There will be no pushing, no judgment. It is simply may with unchanging, love gently, inviting you to give me 1 hour of your time. And in that hour, perhaps your gaze may begin to heal. I come to speak to you about your eyes, not merely the physical ones you use to see, but the deep gaze of your soul. It's about the way you perceive the world, yourself, and me. Have you ever asked yourself, what am I truly seeing with, through truth, through hope, or through fear? Old wounds and experiences that have caused you to shut down? My child, your eyes may be clear, but if your heart is clouded with doubt, then everything you see will be distorted. I do not say this to trouble you, but to gently invite you into a soft hilinga healing of how you see. There are days when you look into the future, and all you can see is fog. There are moments when you look back at the past and all that remains is regret. And there are times when you look into the mirror and question your own worth. What do you see in your own eyes when you look out into the world? Is it the gaze I desire for you to carry unfilled with light, trust, and mercy? My beloved, my gaze is always different from the gaze of the world. When the world sees weakness, I see a soul waiting to be restored. When you see failure, I see an opportunity to pour out grace. When you think you're just an ordinary person, I see in you a precious creation woven by my very hands. Irreplaceable. But I understand after all you've been through. Your gaze has changed. You've learned to doubt before you trust, to guard yourself before opening your heart, to notice limitations before hope. And sometimes, you even begin to see me through the lens of your wounds, as though I too would leave, judge, or remain silent. Oh, child, I am not like the world. I am not like those who have disappointed you. My gaze is always merciful. And today, I long for you to relearn how to see, as I see, beginning with allowing me to heal your inner vision. Do you remember when you were a child? How everything was fresh and radiant? A single leaf could amaze you. A raindrop could make you smile. Back then, you looked through a soul that was wide open, untouched by fear or comparison. I loved that gaze in you, the gaze of a child who had not yet lost faith in goodness. I know you've grown, and you've learned many things, both beautiful and painful. But I don't want you to lose that pure vision. I want to restore in you a new way of seeing, a vision born of faith, of clarity, and of healing. No, I don't promise that everything you see from now on will be pleasant. But I do promise this: if you allow me to heal your gaze, then even in darkness, you will see light. Even in uncertainty, you will be able to walk forward without fear, because you will no longer see with earthly eyes, but with faith guided by my Spirit. My beloved child, the theme for today, the one I want you to sit with in this sacred hour, is this: a healed gaze. Together, we will walk through 3 vital words: to see, to be clarified, to be restored. Not as rituals or formulas, but as steps on a journey you and I will take together, step by gentle step, word by whispered. Words sown into your heart like seeds that will bloom in their proper time. And the wonder of it all is this: this journey will not only change your eyes, but your whole life. When your gaze is healed, you will love more deeply, forgive more genuinely, hope more boldly, and live more fully. For you will no longer live by what the eyes behold, but by what the Creator have planted within your heart. So let me take you into this journey. You don't need to prepare anything. You only need to be present with an open heart and a mustard seed of faith. Now, I begin speaking to you about the first gift, vision. But not vision as defined by science. This is vision defined by faith. As you learn to see through the vision I've given you, you'll begin to realize so many good and beautiful things have been here all along, you just weren't looking in the right direction. Are you ready? Let me continue word by word, image by image, touch by gentle touch, like a father gently wiping clean the fogged lenses of his child, because I want you to see again the way I have always seen. My beloved child, there are many things in life that your physical eyes cannot perceive. Your eyes may see shapes, colors, and movement, but it is the eyes of faith that allow you to see deeper, more sacred, and truer realities. Faith does not replace sight. It unveils another dimension, a place where I am quietly at work, where miracles begin to take root in the unseen. There are things I am preparing for you, but if you only look with your natural eyes, you may think nothing is happening. Yet when you look with faith, you will recognize my hand moving through even the smallest details of your life. Faith is the light I kindle within your soul, so that you are no longer limited by what you see or hear. You are not like those without hope. You have me, and you can see what has yet to come into being, but already exists in my heart. My child, I know there are moments when you say, I see no way forward. But just because your eyes cannot see the path does not mean there is no path. The unseen is not the same as the undone. Like a seed resting quietly in the soil, no one sees it sprout. Yet in its season, it breaks through the earth, grows into a tree, and blossoms. Faith is what keeps you steady during the hidden seasons. It is the inner eye that helps you see what the natural eye misses. Hope in the midst of pain, grace in the midst of limitation, and me in the midst of silence. Don't let what is invisible to the eyes cause you to dismiss what I am accomplishing in the unseen. Remember Abraham, the one called the father of faith. I told him to leave his homeland, to depart from his father's house and go to a place. I would show him a place he had never seen. And yet, he obeyed, not because he saw the destination, but because he trusted the one who was leading him. Because of that trust, I made a covenant with him. And from him came a nation as countless as the stars in the sky and the sand on the shore. If Abraham had waited to see before he believed, he would never have taken the first step. But because he believed first, then saw, he paved the way for generations to walk into blessing. There may be times when you pray and long for something to happen immediately, only to be met with silence. I know that feeling, the waiting and uncertainty. Yet it is precisely in those moments that I invite you into the realm of faith, where you believe my word more than your own feelings. I am never late, never forgetful, never indifferent. I am forming within you spiritual eyes to see what the physical cannot. I am training you to live, not according to your circumstances, but by my promises. And as you keep walking in faith, you will begin to see, not with your eyes, but with a deep inner assurance that I am walking with you. So then, my child, learn to look through the spiritual eyes I have placed within your heart. When you begin to live by faith, you will no longer see life as a series of coincidences, but as pages of a journal I am writing. Each step you take in faith becomes a stroke in a miracle's unfolding. Each time you choose to believe without seeing, you lay another brick in the foundation of your future blessings. And the day will come when your eyes behold what your heart once believed, and your joy will be complete. I know there are days when you look around and all you see is dead ends. Every door seems closed. Every effort feels in vain. Your heart is heavy not because you've stopped trying, but because you no longer know what to hope for. Yet even in those moments, I invite you to look again, not with your eyes, but with faith. For faith is not merely a belief of the mind, it is a vision from within, a vision that still sees light, even under gray skies. When you learn to see with your heart, you will realize that hope does not depend on changing circumstances. It flows from the trust that I am still present. My child, there are things you cannot control: time, people, outcomes, but you can always choose how you see. I do not condemn your weariness, but I invite you to shift your perspective, not to see the problem as the end, but as the beginning of your faith coming back to life. A dead end is not the finish line, it's an opportunity to move your trust from man to me. And when you look with faith, you will see, amidst the rubble, hope still takes root. In fear, love still speaks, and in the depths, my hand is still holding yours. Remember this: even when everything on the outside remains unchanged, faith can renew what is inside you. And when your heart is renewed, the way you see all things is transformed. Seeing through the eyes of faith does not mean denying reality, it means looking beyond it. To see what I am preparing in the invisible. You will no longer be trapped in the thought, "It's all over," but set free by the truth, "I am still writing your story." In faith, you will come to know there is no path too blocked when you walk with me. There is no moment too late when I am the Lord of time. Do you remember, my child, when my people were trapped between the Red Sea and the Egyptian army chasing from behind? All they could see was despair. They cried out, complained, and trembled with fear, for they looked with natural eyes. But Moses looked with faith, and I made a way right through the heart of the sea, something no one could have imagined. It was at the very place that seemed like the end that I began a miracle. Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. Hemso, Exodus 14:13. Whenever you find yourself backed into a corner, remember that wall is not a dead end, but the very place where I can perform a miracle. When you lift your eyes and choose to see through faith, you will realize I have never abandoned you. I am still there, quietly at work. You may not see it with your eyes, but faith will help you perceive what is unfolding beneath the surface in your thoughts, in your emotions, and even behind doors that seemed permanently shut. So, my beloved, when you look through faith, you will no longer see despair as the conclusion, but as the setting where a miracle is born. I do not promise you will see it immediately, but I promise this: if you look with faith, you will never lose hope. And that very hope will keep you standing until your eyes finally behold what I planted long ago in faith. I did not give you eyes merely to perceive colors, shapes, or movements of this world. Physical sight is only a window into what is visible. But I have given you an inner visione, spiritual sight, so that you may recognize what I am doing in the depths of all that happens around you. Observation is a natural ability, but recognition is a grace. And that grace comes when you learn to see life not just with reason, but with faith. There are many things in life that seem senseless, even paradoxical. Why must you go through loss? Why do those you trusted turn away? Why do some prayers remain unanswered? If you only observe, you will see pain, failure, limitation. But if you pause and ask, Lord, what are you teaching me in this? You will begin to perceive the sacred purpose behind what seemed random. Nothing is meaningless in my hands sometimes. You just need deeper sight to understand. Remember Elisha and his servant. When the enemy's army surrounded the city, The servant panicked. He saw only danger closing in. But Elisha, who saw with spiritual eyes, prayed, "Lord, open his eyes so he may see." And in that instant, the servant saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire, my heavenly army surrounding them. Human sight sees the threat, but spiritual sight sees my protection. I give you vision not so you may fear what is seen, but so you may recognize that I am always greater than every circumstance. Do you have eyes but fail to see, and ears but fail to hear? Mark 8:18. My child, if you live only by what your eyes can see, you will easily be shaken. But if you live by what I am revealing, you will stand firm, even amid turmoil. Every season you walk through carries a message. Every closed door may be an invitation into training. Even the wounds in your heart can be the soil where I plant the purposes of my kingdom if you are willing to see with the light of the Spirit. So, my child, do not stop at mere observation. Ask me to give you light to understand the hidden purpose within. Life is not a sequence of random events, but a journey I have designed, each step, each turn leading you into maturity. Your eyes are not just for seeing the world, but for recognizing that I am present and at work in everything, both the beautiful and the painful. There will be days when you look back at life and see only what was lost, missed opportunities, loved ones gone, dreams left unfinished. That pain is real, I do not deny it. But if you keep looking through the lens of those wounds, your vision will slowly distort, and your heart may grow hard. You may begin to think I have forsaken you, or that goodness will never come again. But I want you to shift your perspective. When you begin to look not through pain, but through gratitude, something miraculous begins. For when gratitude revives, healing begins. I know that gratitude does not come easily in the face of loss, but it does not require you to pretend everything is fine. It only asks that you look and see, amid all that has been lost, there is still much I am preserving. In choosing to thank me even when your circumstances are not perfect, you are opening the door for healing to enter. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. End of quote. 1 Thessalonians 5:18. You see, I did not ask you to give thanks only when things are good, but in all things. For gratitude is not just a response, it is faith in action. My beloved child, gratitude is not a denial of the past, but a choice to see it in a new light. The wounds may still remain, but you do not let them define the entirety of who you are. When you pause to count the small things that are still present, a warm meal, a friend by your side, a peaceful breath, you are allowing your heart to be comforted. Gratitude does not erase the pain, but it softens your heart so that I may touch and heal what you once thought could never be healed. Choose gratitude, my child, not because everything is perfect, but because I am still here. Regardless of what the past holds or what the future brings, today you still have me, and I still have you. From that place of gratitude, you will begin to see that your life is not merely a collection of closed chapters, but a story still being written with new life, new light, and a heart being gently restored day by day. Have you ever felt as though everything in your life has fallen into silence? No clear sign, no open door, no response to your prayers? I know in moments like these, it's easy to believe that I have drawn away from you. But, my child, sometimes I am not silent to abandon you, but to teach you to see with new eyes, eyes of faith and maturity. Every challenge is not a sign of my absence, but the very place where my hand is quietly at work, like a potter shaping clay in silence. You won't perceive this if you continue to see through the same old lens, the eyes clouded by hurt, haste, and the need to measure me against your own timeline. But when those eyes are touched by me, renewed and cleansed of the dust of doubt and disappointment, you will begin to see I have never stopped working in your life. In every crack, I am filling you with life. On every winding path, I am guiding you patiently through each turn with love. There was once a man who stood amid ashes. Having lost everything, Job, he did not understand what was happening, and he truly suffered. But Job did not turn away from me, even when he saw no immediate restoration. And in the end, he declared, "My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you." Job 42:5. That was the vision that had been renewed, not because his circumstances became pleasant, but because in the pain, he learned to see me with a humble and whole heart. When your vision is renewed, you will begin to realize what once seemed like loss was actually your roots growing deeper. The no I gave you was not rejection, but protection. The delays you called silence were in fact the moments I was preparing something far better than you had imagined. I do not work according to your schedule, but according to the eternal goodness I have planned for you. And just like a child learning to recognize the Father's hand in the dark, so will you as you mature. You will come to know me not only in grand miracles, but in the smallest details. A word of encouragement at just the right time, en une expected préservation. A door opening when you had already stopped trying. These are the traces of me, my hand ever caring for you. So instead of asking, "Why would God let this happen?" try asking, "Lord, what are you teaching me in this moment?" When you change the question, your vision will change. And when your vision changes, your heart will be healed. That is when you will clearly see, I have never stepped away from my place as the one who loves and acts even in the midst of all that feels unfinished. Sometimes, to see does not mean your eyes catch every detail, but that your soul is still enough to recognize me even when I come in the smallest of ways. I do not always appear in thunder, fire, or blinding light. Many times, I arrive in a gentle breeze, in a quiet detail, in a casual word from someone, or just in the sunlight that filters through your window in the early morning. You will miss me if you only look for me in the extraordinary, but if your heart knows how to listen, and your eyes learn to notice, you will find that I am always near quietly, but never distant. Not everyone who sees with bright eyes perceives me. My child, there are those who can look upon the whole world and still miss my presence entirely. And yet there are others who see nothing beyond four walls, but whose hearts are full of life and light because they see me in all things. The sight I long to give you is not superior vision, but a heart that is tender and pure enough to recognize me in what seems ordinary. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Matthew 5-8. To see not with the eyes, but with the heart. Do you remember when Mary and Martha were disappointed because I arrived too late? They said, "Lord, if you had been here, our brother would not have died." But I was there not according to human timing, but arriving at the perfect moment to reveal glory in the simplest thing, a short call. "Lazarus, come out," just a few words. Yet they brought the dead to life. You do not need a loud miracle to know I am with you. Sometimes, a whisper in your heart, a moment of peace in the storm that is already my presence revealed. Oh, my dear child, I know you've longed to see great things, a miracle, a clear intervention, a turning point in life. But remember, the eyes that learn to see me in the smallest of things will never lose sight of me amidst the ordinary. When you begin to find me in your breath, in flowing water, in your morning cup of tea, you are entering a deeper life, where every moment becomes a whisper from the Father, and you will no longer wait until everything is clear before you believe. You will begin to live in the awareness that I am always present, always doing something, even the smallest of things. Spiritual eyes are not trained to spot the sensational, but to recognize the eternal quietly unfolding. When you begin to see me in the smallest things, nothing in your life will feel insignificant anymore. So each day you live, do not rush. Take a little time to pause and reflect. Where were you in my day today? And you will see, even in a loving glance, a song overheard, or a sudden stillness in your hearteach may be my way of saying, I am here with you. Have you ever looked at yourself and seen only your mistakes? There are days when no one else needs to accuse you, because you are your own harshest judge. You remember every failure, every shortcoming, every act you wish you could undo. That Gezeif left unhealed will trap you in guilt and make you forget that I do not see you that way. I do not define you by what you've done, but by the value you still hold in me. When I heal your way of seeing, the first thing I want to change is how you see yourself. I do not ask you to deny your mistakes, but neither do I want you to live in them. I want you to see the truth, that you were once weak, but never cast aside, that you once fell, but were still lifted up. Truth does not shame you. Truth sets you free. As I have spoken, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. John Shmuna, Shloshim V'Shtaim. You cannot move forward while carrying an old Marora mirror, warped by memories, comparisons, and accusations. I want to replace it with a new one, the mirror of mercy. When you look into it, you will see someone being healed, someone being renewed day by day, someone still deeply loved by Menno, less than on the very first day. You are not the one who failed, you are the one being shaped by me into something good. End of error. My child, I am doing this with you. Every time you dare to look honestly at yourself, I do not come to shame you, but to remind you that you still have worth of in your imperfections. The light of truth will not harm you, if it comes from love, and I am that love, always patient, always waiting, always calling you back to see yourself rightly. So when you begin to see yourself through my eyes, you will no longer be afraid. You will begin to love yourself more, not because you are faultless, but because you know you are being transformed. And from there, you will also learn to see others with greater gentleness, with more compassion, just as I have looked at you, my child. When your eyes begin to open, when you dare to see things in the light that comes from me, you will not only see, you will begin to understand. Clarity does not come through noise, nor from controlling every detail. It comes like the morning light, slowly, gently, but surely. I do not rush you to understand everything all at once, for I know your heart needs time to peel away the layers of fear, of prejudice, of words that have wounded you. Clarity is not just knowing, it is recognizing. It is recognizing that what you once called failure might be the very way I was shaping you. It is recognizing that some losses are not endings, but doors opening to something eternal. The clarity that comes from me will not make you proud, it will make you humble. It will not push you to chase great deeds, but will help you be willing to sit quietly and listen. When your mind becomes clear, your heart will be at peace, and in that clarity, you will begin to see things you could not see before, not because your circumstances have changed, but because your eyes have been purified by truth and love. From here, I will lead you into a new path, a place where light not only illuminates the way, but reveals your heart. Are you ready? There will be times, even with eyes open, when you still do not know which step to take. Every direction feels uncertain, and every choice stirs fear. Not because you don't want to move forward, but because your heart is full of doubt. Am I really being led by you? Am I truly hearing your voice? I know that fog, well, it doesn't come from lack of light, but from anxiety, from the need to understand everything before daring to move. But my child, my light does not always come in explanations, it often comes in quiet obedience. I do not blame you for your doubts. I simply invite you to let me dissolve them with my presence. When my Spirit comes, He not only lights your path, He reveals your heart. Because what I desire is not for you to move quickly, but to move rightly. True clarity does not come from intelligence or experience, it comes from a close relationship with me. As I have written, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. When Paul was on the road to Damascus, he thought he was doing what was right, but it was the light from heaven and my voice that blinded him for a moment, so that he might open his eyes to a completely new direction. Paul was not guided by a map, but by the step-by-step leading of the Holy Spirit. Sometimes, to help you see clearly, I do not add more light, I take something away. I take away your self-reliance, so that you may learn to trust in me. And likewise, you may find yourself in the midst of a foggy season where all your former plans no longer seem to fit, where things once certain now feel fragile and unsure. But do not rush into fear. Do not try to create your own light. Let my Spirit guide you, perhaps, through a quiet prompting in your heart, a door that closes, or a verse of Scripture that gently rises in your mind. He does not lead through logic, but through love and wisdom from above. You will not see the whole picture, and that is good, because if you saw it all, you would no longer need me. But when you see only one step and still choose to obey, the next step will unfold. Clarity is not a floodlight that shines far ahead. It is a lamp that gives just enough light for your next step. And that is enough because you are not walking alone. So if today your heart feels lost in nameless turns, stop and ask my Spirit to lead the way. Let go of needing to figure it all out, and instead learn the art of trust and follow. When you learn this, you will see no path is truly dark when I am the one going before you. My dear child, there are times when you believe that all you need is one more explanation, one clearer sign, or one reasonable answer to feel at peace. But peace doesn't come when you understand everything. Peace comes when you stop speaking and start listening. I never stop speaking, but amidst the noise of life, it becomes hard to hear me because my voice is gentle, like a whisper on the wind. It does not push or shout. It speaks in the stillness. Silence isn't just about turning off external noise. It's about withdrawing from the noise within. Worries, strategies, fears that whisper, if I don't act now, something will go wrong. But true light doesn't come from your frantic search engine. It flows from my quiet presence when you sit still, doing nothing but trusting that I am near. As I have said, be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Remember the prophet Elijah. He looked for me in the wind, the earthquake, the fire, but I came to him in a still, small voice. And in that moment, clarity came not because he understood the future, but because he recognized that I was there in the silence. Likewise, you don't need me to explain everything. You need me to be present, and I always am, whether you feel it or not. You may be living in days when your prayers seem unanswered, and you've begun to call it silence, but I call it an invitation to deeper listening. When you grow quiet, you begin to notice that what I'm doing is not only found in answers, but in the waiting itself. Light does not flash in an instant. It enters slowly, just enough to keep you moving forward. Just enough to remind you, I am still holding your hand. Clarity from me does not always come with comfort. It might appear on an unremarkable morning, through a scripture you once read but now suddenly understand. It might come as a gentle awareness while you sit quietly before me, not needing to say anything, just resting like a child, leaning into their father, needing no explanation. The more you listen, the more your heart opens to the light. So when everything feels tangled, don't rush to find answers. Choose the better part, like Mary did, sit at my feet and listen. Because it is in that stillness that the clearest truth will shine. I am still here. And you never walk alone. Your mind is where many battles unfold, not always between right and wrong, but between trust and doubt, between peace and fear. I see the days when your face smiles, but your heart feels chaotic. You try to stay calm, try to understand what's happening. But the more you try, the more scattered your thoughts become. Like the morning mist, fear clouds the clarity I long to give you. It is not because you are weak, it's because you've been carrying too much alone. But clarity often comes not through analysis or explanations from others, but when you let me touch your mind with my peace. I am not only the light your eyes see, but the source of light that helps arrange everything inside. This isn't a quick fix, it is a process in which you release your burdens one by one, making space for my light to shine within. Peter, fiery, courageous Peter Once, stepped out of the boat to come to me. But when the wind howled and he took his eyes off me, it wasn't the storm that made him sink, it was the storm within. I did not rebuke him. I simply reached out my hand. And what I want you to know is this: even in the moment you feel yourself sinking, clarity can still appear when you dare to lift your eyes and let your heart be stilled in me. You don't need to understand everything to move forward. I do not call you to explain life. I call you to trust me in the journey. When your mind is no longer ruled by what-ifs, when you stop needing to make sense of everything just to feel safe, that's when true clarity begins. I do not hand you a map, I give you my presence. And from my presence, the tangled things within you will begin to untangle. I have prepared such moments when you are walking through an ordinary day and suddenly sense an unnamed lightness in your spirit. That is the light I've placed within your mind. Not loud, not forceful, just a quiet knowing that you no longer need to be afraid, that there is a hand holding everything together. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. John Arbai Sarah, Esarim Visheba. From that moment, your mind will begin to feel clearer, not because the world has changed, but because within you, the light has come gentle, steady, and profoundly deep. And you will know, I have not only opened your eyes, but I have also realigned your heart to the order of heaven. You're not always in the midst of a storm, but sometimes your own heart becomes the place of chaos, thoughts overlapping, choices crowding one another, the noise outside mixing with the tension within. You try to reason, to plead, to listen carefully for direction. But the more you strive, the more unclear everything becomes. Not because I am silent, but because you're standing amid too many voices, and mine is being drowned out. And you know I never shout to compete with the noise. I wait for you to step away from it. When you choose to step back from the storm, something unexpected happens. Everything stops spinning. Not because the world has changed, but because you're now looking at it from a different place where I am. And in that quiet space, I begin to illuminate what needs to be seen. Not all at once, but just the part you need for now. For I do not lead you with flashes that flicker and fade, but with a steady light enough for you to walk, enough for you to trust. As it is written, your word is a lamp to my feet, a light to my path. Psalm 119, Sarah. mi avichamish. You do not need to wait for peace in order to seek me. It is in seeking me that peace will come. When you choose to step out of the chaos, be pausing, breathing, opening the word, or simply whispering, my name, you are entering the realm of light. There, I will show you what is true, what to hold on to, what to let go of, and you may be surprised sometimes. It is simplicity that you need the most. I do not operate according to your schedule, but I am always on time in my divine timetable. The clarity you seek, whether a decision, an answer, or simply peace will come, not too early and not too late, but at the very moment your heart is ready to receive it. I do not overwhelm you. I teach you to listen, and that perfect timing is the proof that I am holding your hand, never letting go. Keep choosing to step out. You don't need to go far, just go inward. I am there. In that gentle light, you are always invited to enter. There. You don't need to know everything, only to know what I am showing you is enough. And that is sufficient. Some things may seem obvious, yet they are not what I want you to focus on. Some people may appear to be your companions, but they are not the ones I have sent. And there are times you feel it is time to act. But I am still asking you to wait. My clarity is not merely about seeing it, is about discerning what is aligned with my will. For not every open door leads to life, and not every light comes from heaven. When I give you light, I don't just help you see, I train you to recognize. You cannot know what is right if your heart is driven by haste, fear, or personal expectation. But when you allow me to purify your heart, the light I shine will help you distinguish truth from falsehood, the temporary from the eternal. As it is written, He guides the humble in what is right and teaches them His way. Psalm 25, Tisha. In the same way, I am forming in you a spiritual sensitivity so you no longer live by reaction, but by guidance. You will no longer say, I see clearly, too quickly, but rather, I know this is right. True clarity comes in stillness, through obedience, step by step, through humility that does not dare decide without first praying, not my will, but yours be done. Or, when you learn to wait for my confirmation, you will no longer be confused by the multitude of choices, for my light never leads you to the wrong turn. You will clearly see who to love, who to release, which path to take, and when to be silent, and when the right thing, the right person, and the right time come together. You will realize it wasn't your arrangement, but the fruit of the clarity I've been gently cultivating within your heart. So if today you are standing before what seems reasonable, take a step back and ask me, Father, is this what is right? I will not leave you in uncertainty. I will shine my light not just so you can see, but so you may know for sure and walk with confidence. For the light I give is not just something you feel, it is something you can live by. One day at a time. Not every loss is an ending, and not everything that leaves you is a failure. I know, when something familiar suddenly vanishes, a person, an opportunity, a path you thought was forever, your heart feels shaken. But my light does not only illuminate the future, it also shines on the past, helping you understand that some things must leave, so that you may grow, so that the new what comes from me may enter. You cannot cling to everything and still walk the full journey I have set before you. There are things that were once blessings, but now no longer belong to this season. There are people who once walked beside you, but their assignment in your life has come to an end. The light I give does not make you forget the past, but helps you see it with gratitude and release. No more clinging, no more regret, Only peace, when you understand that what I remove, I always replace with something better in my eternal plan. As I have spoken, behold, I am making all things new. Revelation Asrim Ve'achet Chamesh. Look at the life of Rutha, young woman who lost her husband, left her homeland, and followed her mother-in-law into a foreign land. It seemed as though everything had collapsed. Yet it was precisely when the old things had passed away that I began to unfold something new, a true love, a new family, and above all, a place in the lineage of the Messiah. Had Ruth clung to her past, she would never have entered into her destiny, and I am doing the same with you. I know you cherished what was perhaps that job, that relationship, even old habits that felt safe. But you cannot carry the old baggage into the new land. I am calling you into something greater, not to dismiss the past, but to fulfill something more beautiful, broader, brighter. And when my light shines upon it, you will stop asking, "Why was it taken?" and begin asking, "Father, what are you preparing me for?" Do not fear the season of transition. Do not shrink back from the emptiness it sometimes brings. I am rearranging things not to take from you, but to draw you closer to my perfect will. All I need is your willingness to let me shine into those hidden places where you're holding on to the old because you haven't yet believed the new could be better. But I promise you, the glory of this latter house shall be greater than the former. Haggai Tvonio. So if today it feels like a chapter is closing, be at peace. It is not the end, but the first step into something new that is being formed in my light. You will see clearly that the past is not forgotten, but has become the foundation for something more lasting. Let me write the next chapter with unchanging love and unfailing light. I see you, even in moments that appear calm, but where your heart is tangled in 1,000 threads. You want everything to go as planned. You make preparations. Anticipate obstáculos. Try to avoid every risk. But the more you try to control, the more weary you feel, because you were not created to manage everything. You were created to trust me, to walk with me, and to rest in my guidance. The light I give doesn't empower you to control every circumstance. It frees you from the burden of having to. When you are led by the clarity that comes from me, you will begin to live more lightly, not because you know how everything will unfold, but because you know who holds it all. Not because every path is visible, but because you no longer need control in order to feel safe. True trust begins when you can move forward without guaranteeingly needing me by your side. As I have said, cast all your cares on him, because he cares for you. Echat Peter Chamesh Sheba. Think of Abraham, the man I called to leave his land, his family, everything familiar, to go to a place he had never seen. No map, no timeline, no guarantees. Yet he went not because he knew the destination, but because he knew the one who called. And it was that obedience that opened the way to a blessing for all nations. I do not need you to draw up the plan. I need you to open your heart and let me lead. You will see that when my light shines in, the things that once overwhelmed you lose their weight, because now you are seeing with eyes that are free eyes, no longer striving to analyze everything, but learning to trust, to wait, and to rest. Clarity is not the key to more control, but an invitation to live in the freedom of faith. And the most beautiful part is this: when you release your grip on being in control, you will begin to see what I have been doing, things you were too busy to notice before. You will see my arrangement gentle, timely, filled with love. What didn't arrive by your schedule will arrive by mine, perfectly timed, and you will understand trust is not a risk, but the safest way to live when you walk with me. So if today you're still trying to make everything okay, allow me to gently take your hand. Pause for a moment and breathe in my presence. It is there that striving is replaced by trust. It is there that confusion is illuminated by a simple truth. You don't have to be in control of everything, because your Father'm holding it all. My dear Sewell, you have walked with me through a long journey where your eyes have begun to see, and your heart is gradually becoming clear. You've learned to walk not merely by physical sight, but by the light of faith. Now, I want to lead you into an even more sacred place where healing is no longer something distant, but a living experience with every breath. I call this part restoration. Restoration does not mean every wound disappears instantly. It means you are being brought back to your rightful place in my love, not the place others have assigned you, nor the one you once struggled to earn, but the original place I created for you, beloved. The whole, valued, and full of purpose. Perhaps you've believed that what's been broken could never be mended. You may have let the past tell you, you are no longer who you once were, but I, the one who formed you, know how to put the pieces back together. Not with glue, but with new life. Because when I restore something, I don't patch it up, I make it entirely new. I don't leave you as you were, but give you a softer heart, clear eyes, and a soul that knows how to love more deeply. Restoration is when you can look back on your past without trembling, when you can face the present without hiding, when you step into the future not with anxiety, but with the peace that comes from me. That is the sign that true healing has reached your roots. You don't need to run anywhere. Right here, in this very moment, I am restoring what was lost, rekindling what you thought had gone cold, and you will begin to feel a new rhythm of life, gentler, fuller, holier, because true restoration doesn't come from your striving, but from my gentle, yet powerful touch. I know there have been times you prayed for a miracle in your body, for pain to cease, for illness to be healed, for a physical limitation to be lifted, and I, full of compassion, have heard every word. But today, I want you to understand something deeper. The restoration I give does not stop at the body, but reaches the very core where your soul has grown weary, confused, even dry. The greater miracle is when your heart finds life again. Sometimes the body is well, but the heart remains wounded. The eyes are bright, but faith has grown dim. The hands are strong, but the purpose feels shaken. I do not come to provide temporary relief. I come to restore you fully. As I created you in the beginning, a beautiful creation, carrying life, hope, and meaning. That is true restoration, when you not only live, but live in alignment with what I have destined for you. Look at Job, a man who lost everything: his possessions, his children, his health, his honor. Yet Job was not only restored in wealth and family, more importantly, he was restored in his relationship with me. In a deeper understanding of grace and holiness, he himself said, "My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you." Job 42:5. That is spiritual restoration, not just standing up again, but walking forward with a renewed heart. My precious child, when I touch you, I do not only touch the wounded places, I reach into the parts of you that have forgotten the meaning of life. I quiet the voices of unworthiness within you. I rebuild the walls of hope that have crumbled. I breathe life into the places you thought would remain dry forever. My restoration is not merely about being healed, it is about being revived, a different life. Deeper, stronger, and more merciful. I know you've often prayed something simple: just let me be well again. But your Father doesn't want you to just be well. I want you to be whole. I want you to trust. I want you to know why you were made. And so, my healing always comes with a restoration of purpose, so you don't just move forward, but move with meaning, with joy, and with surrender. You can begin again, not because you are strong enough, but because I am the one who restores strength within you. When faith is renewed, peace returns, and your purpose is made clear. That is when you are truly healed completely, deeply, and eternally. And I, the one who began this good work in you, will be faithful to complete it. Sometimes you come to me asking for healing in just one part, a physical ailment, a wounded heart, a painful memory. You think, if only this could be fixed, I'll be okay. But I, your Father, see beyond what you're feeling in the moment. I see the deeper layers of your soul that have been affected. I see the dreams you once had, now lying still in a quiet corner of your heart. I see the memories you try to forget because you think they've lost their value. But I do not heal in fragments, I renew the whole. My restoration is not like a patch. It is a reconstruction where every part of you, from your body, your emotions, to your memories and your faith, is touched by love and grace. I come not just to ease your pain, but to bring you back to yourself, the you that existed before the hurt, before the disappointment, before the dreams were abandoned. Nothing in you is too small for me to notice, nor too deep for me to reach. Remember the woman who had bled for 12 years. She came to me with one small hope: if I can only touch the hem of his garment, I will be healed. And when she did, her body was healed instantly. But I did not let her walk away unnoticed. I called her back, looked into her eyes, and said, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." Mark 5:34. I didn't just heal her physically, I restored her identity, her emotions, and her long-silenced sense of worth. You are the same. Maybe you come to me hoping only for one pain to pass, but I want to give you so much more. I want to heal at the root where emotions have been suppressed, where dreams have shattered, where relationships have left behind lingering doubts. I will not leave any part of you behind. When I work, I restore your entire being, your body, your memories, even your hopes for the future. I do not restore you in haste. I restore you gently, layer by layer, like a master artisan restoring an ancient and priceless painting. I wipe away the dust, renew each color, and bring back the original beauty I placed in you from the very beginning. You will begin to realize not only are you being healed, but you are returning to your truest self, the version of you I have always seen. Even when you no longer believed in yourself, do not settle for momentary relief. Open your heart to receive complete renewal. For I did not come to help you survive, I came to make you fully alive, joyful, and empowered, and there is no part of you too distant for me to bring back into my light. From your body to your mind, even to the things you once thought were lost forever, I restore all of it, because I love all of who you are. Sometimes, you long for something dramatic to happen, a dazzling miracle, a sudden breakthrough, something undeniable to prove that I am at work. I understand that. But my child, not all power comes with thunder. Sometimes, true power hides in stillness, and it is in those quiet, unseen moments that I am restoring you in the most lasting way. The healing I bring does not always arrive with tears that sparkle or overwhelming emotion. Sometimes, it is simply waking up one morning and feeling a little lighter. It's the moment you forgive without needing to speak. It's when silence no longer feels like loneliness, That is when I am healing you not loudly, but truly, not for display, but deeply. I do not do temporary work. I do lasting work. So, my child, you do not need to wait for clear proof to know I am working. Pay attention to the quiet changes. An old thought no longer wounds you as it once did. A worn-out belief is slowly replaced by fresh hope. You may not show it outwardly, but within you, something is moving like a seed growing underground, like light breaking through the clouds. Do not underestimate silent restoration. It is precisely because it is quiet that it reaches deep. It is precisely because it is unseen that it takes root. And it is precisely because it is gentle that it endures. I am not only healing your emotions, I am reshaping your inner being to prepare you for something greater. This is not simply getting through. This is transformation. You do not need to prove you've been healed. I know. And when you look back one day, you'll be surprised by how far you've come. It all began with small, quiet steps. But guided by my hand, stay faithful in the stillness, because it is there that my greatest power of restoration is doing its most beautiful, enduring work. Have you ever wished, if only things could go back to the way they were when pain, brokenness, or loss comes? You often seek a return to safety, to the peace you once knew, to a time before everything changed. But I, who see the whole story, do not take you in circles. I do not restore to repeat. I restore to renudo, lead you into something more beautiful, deeper, and stronger. I know you grieve what is gone, and I do not blame you for that. But if your only desire is to return to how things were, you will miss what I am preparing ahead of you, something not only more whole, but greater within my purpose for you. True restoration is not about returning to the starting point, but about moving forward with a matured heart, a broadened vision, and the wisdom that only trials can teach. Remember, Joseph sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused, forgotten in prison. If I had merely restored him to his former position, he could have returned to being Jacob's son, living in peace. But that was not my plan. I restored him by raising him to be ruler of all Egypt, a position no one expected, through which he saved his entire family. As he said, "You meant evil against me, but God intended it for good." Genesis 50:20. Restoration in me always carries the element of elevation, not because you deserve more, but because I refuse to let anything in you, even your wounds, go to waste. I use everything that once caused you pain to build a new resilience. You will not only be healed, you will become an instrument of healing for others. And that is the most powerful restoration of all. Do not look to the past as a place to return to. See it as a foundation and let me build something new from there. You do not need to go back to an old version of yourself. You are being shaped by me into a fuller, stronger, more radiant version. Not because your past was bad, but because your future in me is better. When you accept this, you will begin to see things shift, not quickly, but surely. You will feel peace within, not because things have returned to how they were, but because you have begun to believe that everything new I bring is worth the wait. And in this restoration, you will not try to go back, you will move forward, with eyes full of trust and a heart full of grace. My beloved, if you have sat with me throughout this journey, from the moment your gaze was healed to the clarity that shone into your heart, and now as you begin to feel restoration spreading through every part of your soul, then know this: I have never left your side. Not when you were weak, not when you doubted, not even when you thought you were walking alone. Every word I speak to you today is not meant to be heard and then forgotten. They are seeds I am planting in your heart, and they will grow in their time, in my way. Do not rush to measure the change. Simply keep showing up. Meet me in the quiet of the morning, in your simple prayers, in those moments when you do nothing but listen with your whole heart. You do not need to be perfect to be worthy of my love. My love does not come after you are healed. It is my love that heals you. And that love is still flowing every day, with every breath, in every small choice you make in the light of faith. I do not promise that you will never be hurt again, but I promise pain will no longer rule over you. I do not promise you will always see the road clearly, but I promise you will never be lost. As long as you keep holding my hand. Now, as this letter draws to a close, know that your journey is far from over. I am still walking with you in the silence, in the stillness, in the seemingly ordinary moments that carry extraordinary grace. You can walk forward now with eyes that have been opened, with a heart made light, with a soul revived, not because everything around you has changed, but because you have been transformed from within. Live as one who has been restored. Love as one who has been forgiven. Walk as one who has the Almighty walking beside them, because it is true. I am here. I have always been here, and I will always love you. Amen. Thank you for listening to this message. Know this: you are not just an audience. You are chosen to live daily in the presence of God's Word. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any sacred message. Amen.